what is something that you are willing to wake up when it's cold, when it's hot, when you don't want to, and you're willing to go and be happy about where you work?
Hi everyone, my name is Dallas Wobington. I am the coordinator for the online student experience, and this is episode 3 of our OSE podcast. I'm joined here today by Alonso. I'm just going to go ahead and give him a chance to introduce himself.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Alonzo. Everybody usually just calls me Zoe. So if you ever see me around, call me Zoe. And I am a coordinator of student organizations in the Student Activity Center office.
Awesome, we're so glad to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, today's focus for this episode is just kind of finding passions and how our passions can help lead us into our careers. Alonso Ozo is just here to kind of talk about his passions, how he led up to his current position, and just talk about his life. I'll just go ahead and get started with the first question, which is what inspired you to choose a career in higher education?
Oh man. I would say probably just knowing that it was like very natural for me to do. So kind of like everybody else, I started in working in orientation, got bit by the orientation bug, and it just felt really natural. It felt good helping the students. Unfortunately, when I went to orientation, I didn't really have anybody telling me like the do's and the don'ts and like, hey, take this professor, don't take this one. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what my mission was when I was being an orientation leader. Like I said, just fell in love with the field, and then not realizing like, oh, I could just do this like as a job. Like I could just never leave. Like okay, cool. Like how do I go about this? So then started getting involved in college and things like that with different organizations, my fraternity and things like that. So really just making sure I was positioning myself so that way if I was choosing this as a career, I was positioning myself to make sure I was doing what else was necessary. So I would probably say just the orientation bug, just getting bit by it. And yeah, I guess I keep getting bit every semester because here I am still working in it.
I feel like that's a pretty common story with people who go into higher
I feel
education.
like it is too.
Because for those who don't know, not a lot of people know, Zoe and I actually went to the same college and undergrad. So we both went to Midwestern State University, so we knew each other prior to coming to UNT.
Did I give
And
you orientation?
no, I was actually in UPB.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mosaic.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, pretty much the same kind of story for a lot of people who go to higher education is they didn't know it existed. They didn't know it was a job option.
I did not know it existed. I didn't know what major I should be.
Hmm.
Should I change my major? So had a conversation with Mario, and so he was just like, no, like you don't need to be in a certain field. You just kind of just work, go through normal college and then in grad school, you just do higher education and then you just kind of go from there. So
Yep.
yeah, no, there was no like background. It was way came out of left field for sure.
Absolutely. And for me, it was getting involved with the programming board at our
Mm,
university. And then I didn't even think about changing my major because by the time I realized I wanted to go into higher ed, um, I was almost a senior in
okay,
college.
might
So
as well just write it out.
it was a little late for me. But I had talked to people in our office. I talked to Ruby
Okay.
and talked to her like, how do you get into a career like this? Because I wanted to go into programming,
Mm,
working with college students.
okay.
And so she kind of told me how things went. And then I thought, okay, I want to go to grad school for this, but like, what do I go to grad school for? Like, what does this look like
Yeah.
realistically? Um, so I'm glad that, it's pretty much the same story of
Mm-hmm.
I got involved. I wanted to help college students. What do I do?
I have many of people who got bit by the orientation bug and just never left.
Hmm.
So.
I've noticed there's a lot of people who do that with like orientation, housing,
Mm-hmm.
SGA, so they usually get inspired by that to keep working with college students.
Definitely, yeah.
And here we are. All right, so let's move on to the next question, which is have you always wanted to work in education? If not, what careers did you consider before choosing higher education?
So funny enough, I did not want to work in education. I didn't even want to touch education. 'Cause I always thought education was just teacher, like you're just a
Hmm.
teacher. And so Sorry, grandma, but so my grandma was a teacher who taught English for 45 years. My great aunt taught English. My great uncle taught math, was a principal. So I was like, I'm okay with education. I'm quite fine. And actually, I wanted to be an athletic trainer. So when I first went to college, that was actually my major.
Mm-hmm.
Then I switched to exercise physiology, still in the same dream of working with sports teams and things like that. And then, like I said, I worked orientation my junior summer, going into my senior year, and out of left field came, I think I want to do higher education. And here I am. And so, what I like about it is like, I don't teach. And that was one thing I was adamant. I was like, I don't want to teach. I don't want the lesson plan. So shout
Mm-hmm.
out to all the teachers though. Whoever does teach, hey, shout out to you because somebody has to do it.
Yes.
So very much shout out to all the teachers who are there. I just know I couldn't be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, no, so I didn't want to work in education. So I do still dabble every now and then with coaching in the athletic side, but no, I think I found home.
Mm-hmm.
I think I found my right fit.
I absolutely understand because I was going to college and undergrad for my English degree, but I was also getting my teaching certification.
Mm,
And so teaching was actually a backup plan for me. Education was a backup plan. I wanted to go into journalism.
okay.
And so I worked with our student newspaper. I wrote a lot of articles, did a lot of things on that end. And then, of course, got closer to senior year and realized maybe this isn't for me.
Okay. Nice.
So it's still there as an option. I ended up getting my teaching certification.
Okay.
So legally, I am certified teacher in Texas. Um, and I do enjoy teaching, but I found that my passion was more towards like the admin side. So working
Mm,
behind the scenes
okay.
versus teaching in front of students.
Gotcha.
So I absolutely understand why you don't want to
Yeah.
teach.
No.
But again, shout out to our teachers because
We look, there is no us without y'all. So definitely shout out to all of our teachers.
absolutely. All right, let's go on to the next question. So just tell us a bit about your current role and what led you to pursue this position.
So my current role, like I said earlier, is coordinator of student organizations with the Student Activity Center. And so, kind of, what does that entail? So I do a lot of event consultations. Orgs, if you need any help with your events, you need help planning an event. I don't care if you're like, hey, I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. I don't care. We don't care. Student Activity Center, please come check us out. Come sign up for one via OrgSync, so check us out through there. And then so I do event consultations. I do a lot of reviewing event applications. So sorry, orgs, if y'all are like, who was reviewing my event applications? Because this guy takes too long. I'm sorry, I'm the guy. One of the guys who are reviewing your event applications. But yeah, those two are the prominent things. But I do oversee a student committee that handles funding for Eagles Nest. So those are kind of my main three things. And then just supporting our office. And so what I like about my current position is I'm back student facing. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm back to really working hands on with the students. So I used to be an admissions counselor, traveling a lot, talking to high school students, and so that kind of gave me my fulfillment of okay, I'm talking to students, but it just wasn't enough. And then as I kind of just kept moving up, I kept getting pulled further back from students.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at MSU, everybody knows me. I know everybody, and so I
Mm-hmm.
miss that feeling. So that's why I wanted to kind of just reset myself, get in student affairs. I love being in student affairs. I think the work here is just as important as what goes on in the classroom. So I think while the classroom handles all the book work, we handle sometimes those like life lessons, those life skills. And so that's kind of what I wanted to get back to. Want to get back to just the love of being in higher education. That's why I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
join higher education. So that's what I do. Of course, we have other things that come out of our office. So our campus-wide events comes out of our office. So in my role, I help out anything that capacity, anything they need. I handle our Eagle Awards. So I'm the one who's planning that, things like that. I'm the one who's over our student org of the month. I am a kind of just say like a news anchor ish for our student org source. So it's kind of how we get our get our information out to student orgs, anything that's we have coming up. So as I say, that's kind of pretty much my current role, kind of things like that. But yeah, just kind of just wanted just to reset myself, come back to the Dallas Metroplex too.
Hmm.
So.
I want to touch on something you mentioned a bit earlier. You were kind of talking about how you're wanting to get back into student-facing
Hmm.
roles, passion of working with students. Um, and I feel like with student affairs, with higher education in general, and I think most college students can probably agree that their college experience does not comprise solely of the academics, but it's also that student affairs, that fun
Yes,
side. And so, I mean, that's what kind of got us into this area.
definitely.
It wasn't our academics that motivated us to go into pursue our passions and get into higher education. It was the simple things, the
Hmm.
interacting with people, realizing that I want to do that for a living. And so for some people, that human interaction, that face
Yeah.
to face thing is their worst nightmare. Um, and then there's crazy people like us who is like, yes, I want to be student facing. I want to
Hmm.
talk with students. Um, and I love talking with different aspects of like higher education and student affairs because there are people who are totally fine, like
Yeah.
working behind the screen,
And
like,
student affairs is very broad.
mm-hmm,
You have your roles that are student facing, like mine, and then you have some that are, while they're student facing, the role may require more behind the scenes work,
mm-hmm,
and things like that. So you have your student facing, but you can kind of limit your interactions. So for some people that works. Student affairs is there's different aspects of it. It's not just one umbrella.
mm-hmm,
You have your first generation success center, your orientation, then you have your student activities, then you have your programming councils,
mm-hmm,
then you have like your library, and we're all working together to make sure that when students are outside the classroom, that they're having fun, that they're enjoying themselves, and that they're getting connected to campus because that's what's going to keep them here. Being able to find that community, that's what for student affairs, while it is a thankless job and all higher ed is a thankless job, right? For student affairs professionals, I can speak for myself, we consider it a win when our students come to us and they let us know that they passed that test or they got that internship. They were able to connect with somebody on campus that kept them here outside of us. So, student affairs work is very important. As I said, it's what got me into higher ed, being able to walk by the student activities office at MSU and see Mario and Miss Cammy and Ruben just talk with them and just realize like, oh, they're humans too.
mm-hmm.
I think that's a bridge that where sometimes students look at us and they don't see like we're humans and then they realize like, oh, they are humans. Oh, they do have fun. Oh, okay, cool. I can talk to you. And it's like, yes, you can talk to me. I'm human too. Like I have a life outside of this also.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, that's what I'm hoping people are getting from this podcast. Is like, yes, we are human too. Especially over here in student activities. I know we're always work, 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 but we are humans. Come talk to us. We will love to come talk to y'all.
I love when people, it sounds bad. I love when people drop by unexpectedly because I love those like impromptu, like just chattings,
Mm-hmm.
talking about, it doesn't even have to be school related. It could be something like I did this over winter break and it was like so fun and things like that. And I definitely agree when you say that it's a thankless job, but honestly, we love just being able to interact with students and hear about what's going on in their lives. And I think that's, kind of how we get our thanks. It's
Yeah,
just by students becoming comfortable enough to want to talk with us and then
definitely,
help them through their college journey. So
definitely.
I just love higher ed. We could talk all day about it. We gotta move on to the next question. But I was ask you, what role do you think passion plays in helping a person achieve professional success?
That's a really good question because when you're thinking about where you want to work and things you want to do in life, of course, money is always like a determining factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to make money, but I think when it comes to passion, like that's what are you willing to do for free?
Mm-hmm.
What is something that you are willing to wake up when it's cold, when it's hot, when you don't want to, and you're willing to go and be happy about where you work? Yes, everybody has those days where, like, right, I'll be honest, anybody who's listening, I'm sorry, I didn't want to come to work today. Okay, it's Friday, it's cold outside. Okay, I didn't want to come to work today, but here I am working. We're here, we're good. Okay, sorry, boss, if you're listening to this. Okay, sorry, mom. Also, all right, I promise you, I am here. But on those days where you don't want to go to work, it's going to be passion that you're like, you know what? Well, I don't want to go to work. I'm gonna go to work because there's somebody who may need me.
Mhm.
There's somebody who may need me to get something done for them. So I would say for passion, like you want to obviously want to do something that's going to compensate you, but you also want to do something that you thoroughly enjoy.
Mhm.
Because then it's not going to work. It's just you're doing something that you enjoy that you just so happen to get paid for. And things like that. So I think passion is huge, and your passion can change. Don't think that your passion has to be one sole thing. You know, especially college students. You all students are in a very this is a very pivotal moment in a lot of students' lives,
Mhm.
whether they're traditional, non-traditional, especially those non-traditional students. This is a huge time in their life,
Mhm.
and you know, for them, it's probably because their passion changed, or whether they wanted to change or they didn't want it to change, it changed. And so, I think you should embrace your passion. I think you should figure out what it does and what drives you, and then just pursue it.
Mhm.
And it's okay to have multiple passions. Like you can be passionate about helping out people, but then passionate about oh, I'm passionate about business and also be passionate about stuff in the medical field. So it's okay to have multiple passions too.
Mhm. Definitely want to emphasize that, especially for our non-traditional students, it's absolutely okay to decide that you don't, that your passions change. Like you said, it always changes. And a student that comes to mind who is active in the online student experience, she's in her 50s and coming back to school
Mm.
and getting her master's in library sciences. And so much has happened the past couple years, and she decided I want to come back to school. I want to get my master's. I want to go into the library sciences. And she hasn't been to school since the 90s.
Hey, it happens. It happens. I mean, thankfully, um, I guess you can say still on a break, but for me, it's I guess you can say my passion why I want to continue and get my third degree. I have my master's, so technically I could be done with school and be
Hmm.
done, but it's that passion, or for anybody who's listening that's an athlete or a former athlete like myself, it's that passion that's going to, if you want to think of it like sports terms, where you don't want to go to practice, but you want to be great, what's the work you're going to put in when nobody's looking? It's kind
Hmm.
of the same thing with passion. What are you going to do and what are you willing to find that when nobody's looking? Kind of a thing. And so, yeah, no, I think even freshman students, like for sure, don't be afraid to know that your passion is going to change. And this is for online students, but if there's any freshmen that are online students, like your passion can change and it's okay. I changed my major, and I thought it was the worst thing in the world was change my major. I
Hmm.
was petrified. I called my mom. I was like, "Hey, I don't want you to think I'm being a screw up because I have to change my major." And then she was like, "Oh, I changed my major like 3 times," and so I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess this is normal." Just so yeah, so you're gonna always be trying to figure out what's next, and I say just embrace it because
Hmm.
every school year is different, every semester is different. You're supposed to grow during this time, and so really leaning in on that passion is really what's going to like catapult you to figuring out what job what job is going to be the right field for you.
Hmm. I absolutely agree. Thank you. So I would ask, what advice would you give to students who are still trying to search for their passion?
Um, that's oof, I could be here all day with this one.
Honestly, all these questions we could be here all day.
And when you send me the questions, I don't know if I was out that, but I was really struggling on what I would say on the advice. Um,
Honestly, you've kind of been hitting at it, saying like
I
it.
kind of have one thing for sure is learn how to be alone, and I say that because when you're alone and when you're quiet is when you'll do the probably is when you're gonna be able to have the most clear thoughts and clear head, and there's no distractions. Nobody's gonna have to ask anything of you. Nobody's gonna need anything of you. And then that's kind of where you'll learn a lot about yourself.
Hmm.
It's kind of in those moments, kind of just by yourself, whether it's working on a homework assignment, working on a Lego set. If you're like myself, playing video games, you'll figure out what's your passion. Um, Whether it's sports, and that can be, especially in the world of NIL, you can do a million and one things with sports, whether that's education. Like myself, you don't have to be in the classroom to make an impact. You can be outside the classroom. So I would say, learn how to be, by yourself so you can learn how to, listen to yourself and listen to that inside voice. But I would say embrace every change. Life is on peaks and valleys, and so there will be good days, will be bad days, but
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be okay. You're going to have those wins that's going to validate why you're doing what you're doing. And so I'll say one last thing is, kind of look at what you do in your normal day to day and kind of figure out what's your superpower. So shout out to one of my coworkers in my office, Taniqua. She had us do an icebreaker the other day, and we were talking about what's our professional superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And for myself, I was really struggling on what's my superpower. One, because I always wanted superpowers. I still want superpowers. I think they're coming one day. So first, I had to convince myself, like, hey, we're actually talking about professional superpowers, not superpowers like superheroes. And then once I thought about that, I just took a minute to think about just what am I good at? What are my strengths? What are things that I do on a normal day to day that I do like it's the back, like it's subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, my professional superpower was the ability to connect with people from all walks of life, whether that's you need a shoulder to lean on, we need to have a conversation, you just need some help, you just want to come in and just shoot the breeze and just talk about, oh, it's sunny outside, but it's also cold, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So I would say definitely surround yourself with those who are like-minded. That's very important. And don't be afraid to, switch it up sometimes. I am somebody who lives his life on a plan, and I have every single thing planned out. But it's okay to kind of just crumple up the plane and throw it away and just, kind of just go on a whim. And so you have to just know kind of what requires to go on a whim. Not everything needs to be kind of don't crumple up the plan on everything. But sometimes you just crumple up the plan, just kind of just go with the flow. So I know that was a bunch of advice in that
Hey,
question, but hopefully somebody was able to take something away from that.
exactly. That's the good thing about just speaking your mind, seeing how it goes, is someone out there really needed that advice. So I appreciate that. But as we wrap up, tell us about any projects or events you think students should know.
Well, student activities, we always got stuff going on. We're super busy, even now. So, if any students are interested, especially my online students, if they're interested in officer transition workshop, we do have one for our student organization leaders. That will be on February 4th. We will have an online option for that also. Event consultations, I mentioned that earlier. If there's anybody listening who is a part of an org or has an event that they really want to just need help planning out, need some help details, reach out to us if you need extra funding. If you want to learn about any funding opportunities we have, we would love to come and talk with you all. Our office is located in the University Union on the third floor. If you're ever on campus, come by and come talk to us. We love students. Honestly, we love being able to take that break from our day and talk with the students.
Mm-hmm.
Our CLAs love interacting with students and things like that. So please come by, come talk to us. We would love, love, love for you all to come by. If you are a new org, check out our new org boot camp. It's gonna get you right. It's gonna get you ready to go for the upcoming semester, for the upcoming year. We're gonna get you plugged in with the resources and everything that we need for you all. So, if there's anything that we can do in student activities to make your organization better, help your event be better, please don't hesitate to come reach out to us.
Awesome. And so, what is the best way for students to contact you?
For anybody online, you can hit me in my email. First, alonzo.burris at unt.edu. So first dot last name at unt.edu. You can email us that way. You can email the student activities account. And you will get a response within about 24 hours. And so that's probably the best way. Then always, if you're on campus, come pull up. We love, like I said, we love those unexpected visits,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So come pull up, come say hi. You can even say like, hey, I heard this guy on the podcast say We can just come in here. I'm the guy on the podcast. So definitely come by, come say hi. And yeah, anything you need, we are here for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here
Thank y'all
today.
for having me.
I'm so glad we got to kind of chit chat.
Yes, yes.
And then for anyone who's listening, of course, thank you for listening. If you want to hear more or just hear more about online student experience, you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook at UNT Online Student Experience. And then of course, check out our website. We have plenty of resources for online students, and just not just online students in general. Students are hybrid. Students are completely in person. Our services are absolutely open to everyone, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you so much for listening. So go Mean Green.